Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 4 of my podcast, Hotel Karlifornia. As you know, my name is Karlifornia, and it is great to be with you again this week. Now, my last interview, as I've painstakingly told everyone over and over again, I interviewed none other than the frontman of the Screaming Jets, Mr. Dave Gleason. And some great feedback on that episode. If you haven't checked it out, please check it out on YouTube. It's fantastic. As well as my little story of my time at Vaken. I want to give some shout outs to some dedicated fans over the first few episodes. Big Mick Everett, Andy Smith, Bucky, Daniel Johnston, Dale Ward, and a few others. Thanks, guys, for being so interested in the episodes and for the feedback you've given me. Truly appreciate it and your time. So, if anyone else out there has been listening to the shows, have been enjoying the shows, if you've got any feedback, any suggestions, any person out there that you'd like me to interview and you want to suggest it my way, you want to throw that motherfucker my way, and I'll catch that shit and I'll take that shit on board, homie. All you got to do is go to facebook.com/Hotel Karlifornia and send a message there. Or it's likely at this stage that you just know me personally, so just message me. That's all you need to do. So thanks again for the support, and I hope this thing continues to grow by leaps and bounds as time wears on. Now, here today, it's episode 4, and it's an important interview, a real important interview, because I'm interviewing somebody that I consider to be my best friend. That's right. I, Karlifornia, am a 31-year-old man, and I like to go on about the fact that I have a best friend. This man is right here next to me here tonight at the Providence of Karlifornia here in Dianella, Western Australia. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the front man for Perth rock and roll band Hailmary. He is big sexy Kevin Curran.
Man, you got to do my theme song or something. I feel like this should be some sort of song now. I come out my little wrestling entrance.
Wow.
How's it going, man?
NWO, what's going on, brother?
Just having a little brewski and ready to do this illustrious podcast.
Excellent. You like the intro? You think that you need a theme song?
Yeah, I think you can edit that later.
I'll
and
do that in post-production with my team of myself. And look, hey, there you go. More feedback, suggestions being taken on board. I can handle it. A lot of people out there can't handle the truth. Kevin, can you handle the truth?
I can't handle the truth. Maybe you could possibly put in with that little intro there, maybe some crickets or something when you introduce my name. That would be quite hilarious.
Right. Okay. You think I should take the piss out of you in post-production as well?
That'd be funny.
Excellent. Well, tell me a little bit about yourself, Kevin. Who are you? For those out there who don't know who you are, other than the fact that I already previously mentioned that you're the singer for Hailmary.
What am I? I am a singer-songwriter for the band Hailmary. I'm a full-time musician in Perth, Western Australia. You can find me most weekends playing in a pub around drunken people and doing my best to entertain them. So that's what I do.
And that's all there is to you? Just you're a musician?
That's it. There's more to me than that, obviously, but that's what I'm probably... Well, we got beers flying everywhere here.
Yeah.
That's what I'm known for doing is playing music and it's doing what I love.
Right, excellent. So obviously you've been doing it for many years now. I want to go all the way back to whenever it was that you remember the first time you heard a song. Any song. This podcast is about the musical journey, Kevin. And the first song that you heard that just changed it all.
My first song that I can remember as a kid as my favourite song would have been Icehouse Electric Blue. That's the first song I can remember. I remember being in the back seat of my parents' car, and then that was on the radio, and obviously it must have been the hit at the time. I'm showing my age right there, and Yeah, that's my first song I remember. Now I look back, I'm not sure if that was a good thing or a bad thing, but it's a good tune.
I like it. I love Ice House. They're coming here soon.
But
so.
it definitely wasn't a song that's. I wouldn't say it's something that's
influenced.
It wouldn't have influenced. But it's the first song I can actually remember as a kid.
Right, but so you wouldn't say that was the song that changed it all for you and made you think
definitely
rock
not.
and roll is what my life is all about now.
Definitely not.
Okay, well, because that's what the question actually was, Kevin. So would you like to actually think back to a time? Maybe I don't know if you heard fucking Spoon Man by Soundgarden.
No, my very first. Cassette I bought with my own money was Ugly Kid Joe, America's Least Wanted. That was the first thing I ever bought, my own money, and I enjoyed the shit out of that cassette. It was at the time. It was. So yeah, that was my first. That was the first music that I really got into.
Awesome. I think my first album was. Well, aside from the ones that I accumulate as a kid, just being bought things by my parents and not really being into it. Midnight Oil 20,000 watt RSL, the greatest hits. Nice. I asked my mum to get it when she went food shopping one day. Fun little fact there, Kevin.
Just throwing it in there.
Yeah, just throwing it in there because this podcast is also about me. It's not just about all you guys that get to be interviewed.
We got to learn. We got to invest in you as well, right?
Yeah, exactly. I'm important too. Not really, but one day. What made you pick up the guitar? And how old were you when you first picked up the guitar?
I would have been. I must have been about 12 or 13 when I first wanted to play guitar. It was. I don't know if you remember. Obviously, people from Australia, especially Perth, would know. Telethon time, there was a guy called Nathan Cavalieri. It was a kid. It was just
whatever happened to him?
Young. I think he's still playing. I remember he in a band nowadays, but he was playing. I think maybe on Telethon or he was on TV or something. And my parents at the time were really impressed by him. Look at that kid. Look at him playing guitar. And I'm like, I got all kind of like. I could do that as well,
Dad, watch me dive into the pool, I can do things too.
So my dad could play a bit of guitar himself, so we ended up buying, he got me a pretty cheap $40 classical guitar to learn on.
So basically this whole thing that you've been doing all these years is just to upstage Nathan.
That's where it started.
Right.
That's initially, but basically I got that guitar and I tried to learn a guitar, but I just didn't, at that point in my life, I didn't learn. I just got bored of it. I put it away. It sat there for a while, and it collected dust. And I did not play at that point. But that's what made me sort of have a guitar in the house.
Jealousy of Nathan Cavalieri.
Yeah. I realised I couldn't be better than him, and even now I'm still not better than him at guitar.
Really?
No.
So do you think your parents still love him more than they love
Probably.
you?
I'd say so. I'd say so.
Who was your first real favourite band? I guess Ugly Kid Joe.
Yeah. That at the time it would have been Ugly Kid Joe, and then in high school it would have been probably Nirvana, Green Day, and like bands like that. I got really influenced by, and like that bands at that time period in school. Like I got really liked a lot of Australian bands at the time as well. Like it was just like the Australian rock scene was really good, and there was a lot of like bands to look at, and I was really into that kind of stuff too. But yeah, that was kind of like my early stuff, sort of like the Nirvana,
the grungy type shit,
yeah,
the punk,
yeah,
a bit of pop punk. I don't know. That's how I classify Green Day.
yeah, like that kind of stuff. So I kind of like dug that kind of stuff. But as I got older, I kind of got into a lot more other stuff than that. A bit more harder edge stuff. Actually, earlier on as well, like my first metal I got into was Sepultura. I mean, a lot of people would sort of gravitate towards Metallica first and all that, but me it was Sepultura, Chaos AD in high school. It really got me on that metal path where I started really loving that kind of stuff. Right. Yeah.
So what, are you a Max guy or are you a Andreas guy?
I'm definitely a Max guy because that's what made me like the band in the first place, but I seen Sepultura recently with Andreas, and it was fucking phenomenal. They were really, really good. So
then they were better than when Max and Eagle.
I thought so. I thought the current lineup, because I've seen them previous weeks with the Max, and knees, bro, on
Yeah.
the drums, and they were good. Don't get me wrong, they're really good, but I thought the current lineup was better.
Wow, interesting. Just wanted to make a quick sidebar there and talk about that. Who would you say, like, fuck, I didn't really write these questions very well, but all of a sudden, who are your main influences as a musician? Well, like, when did you get back into playing the guitar? How long did it take for you to finally
It would have been
dust it off and get back into it, mate?
It would have been, I think it was, what would it have been? Maybe 15, 16, I would have
Right,
been.
you're at the age where you're trying to get laid, you can't get laid, but if you play the guitar, chicks see you play the guitar, you could get laid.
Yeah, that was probably, I would say that would be one thing that would have been influenced in that decision. I thought,
Right.
this could help my situation. We basically we had a high school band, and I at the time I actually picked up before I started this class. So I wanted to go into this music class, but you kind of had to have some sort of guitar skill to be able to be in the school band. So that summer, or not summer, but before going to start the year of school, it would have been summer, yeah.
Yeah.
I practiced my ass off and started picking up some stuff. And I remember going into school, and the guitarist, I met a dude at school who told me about the music class, and so he said to me, "You should come in the music class." So that's what basically got me into the class. Was a guy I met who was into Nirvana like me, and he was just a new kid that came to the school. So that kind of influenced me to sort of want to play guitar more again. So that's basically what happened, and I ended up joining the school band, and we were like playing all these covers in lunchtime and all that kind of stuff. So.
Right, excellent. All you needed was just another smelly kid in flannel to get yourself into gear. Did you have any like bands before Hailmary was formed?
Yeah, I did actually. I had me and a couple of friends from school. We had a band called Imodium. I think we played
Imodium?
one. Yeah, it was named after a Nirvana song. And then and then shortly after we named the band Imodium, this advert started popping on the TV, Imodium being a diarrhea tablet. So honestly, it was like a week after we named the band that started coming on the TV, these laxative diarrhea relief.
Is it safe to say your band was the shits?
It definitely was the shits, and I would hate to listen to what we sounded like, because it probably would have been the steaming pile of shits. That's what there.
Well, the name suits.
Yeah, it was. Right? We were just young guys, just enjoying it at the time, and you're doing it for the right reasons. So you just enjoy playing music.
Yeah, awesome, man.
Yeah.
So how long did that last until?
Oh, I think we played one gig.
Really? So that's your first gig that you ever played?
Yeah, because basically the reason why we didn't go any further is because of the drummer at the time. I'm still a friend of his now, and I think I was the best man at his wedding.
Right.
We could never rehearse with him because he was so fucking broke all the time that we couldn't afford to go to pay for a rehearsal room. So it was just like, so it was so hard. So it became very, very difficult. So I ended up just going doing something else.
Right.
So I ended up going into another band called Shogun. We were called
Shogun.
And I think we named it after the WCW.
After a fake character on WCW Revenge.
That's where
Shogun.
That's the name. I think we played 3 gigs. First gig we ever played was at the White Sands Hotel, and for some reason I don't know how I found out about the gig. I think it was just some sort of like newspaper thing bands wanted for this gig at the White Sands, so we ended up putting in for that, and we ended up getting put on this bill. It was like with 20 punk bands, and like, we want punk. So
like real punk,
yeah.
Oh shit!
It was called, I think the gig was called Jurassic Punk at the time. So we got put on the bill. So, but we weren't really punk. So kind of playing your first gig to a crowd that are all into punk music was probably not the best start. Really.
Right? Did they not give you a good reception?
To be honest with you, I can't remember.
Right.
Yeah, I didn't have many gigs before that to sort of really know anything really. So like, they were polite, I think, but I don't think we were their cup of tea.
Right. Fair enough. So I want to know about like you moving through this process and getting to the point where you meet the guys from Hailmary. I don't know if you already knew some of the guys in the initial lineup, but how did you first meet those guys? Who are they? And tell us a little bit about them.
Basically, I got to the point where I knew that I wanted a band, and I wanted to get that going and having a successful band and playing gigs and writing my own songs and playing and getting somewhere with that. But I knew that in my circle of friends that I knew that I didn't know anyone to fill the roles of what was required for the band. So I ended up, I think it was perthbands.com. They had like a forum on there, and it was really, really good at the time. And I don't think they don't have that anymore.
No.
But I ended up putting a little ad on there, what are required, and it was so fucking long as well. It was like this big spiel. Now, if someone read that, it would be like, fucking come on, man! Like there was so many requirements, and just look at it.
You need to have your hair this long.
It was so stupid now when I think about it, and so I ended up having a lot of jams, a lot of different guitar. I just wanted to find another guitarist to play with that I could sort of bounce off, and eventually I got a guy called Todd Fishwick who ended up being the first guitarist in Hailmary. So we started jamming. It would have been a long, long time ago, but then he ended up going away for quite a while on holiday, and so did I. So it was a year past that where we didn't play together. He was away, or I was away, but we ended up sort of keeping in touch and still jamming when we could.
Yeah.
And then we eventually sort of started forming what would be Hailmary.
Right. So who was that guy that you met? The first guy in Hailmary that you met?
Todd Fisher was the.
So Todd's the first guy.
He was the guitarist and vocalist, second vocalist in the band from the very beginning. So we started jamming and sort of crafting songs together, and then we did have originally a drummer, but he didn't last very long. But then he brought from his uni, he brought in Vass, who's our current drummer now. So that's how we sort of pieced that together. So Vass went to school with Todd. So that's basically how that happened.
Right, what did you think of Vass when you first met him?
Vass came into the room, very quiet, very shy, 17-year-old kid at the time he was, because we were a little bit older than him, and he had a little kit, and he I don't know if anyone out there have seen Vass play, but he hits extremely hard, and he plays precision. He's just really animated when he plays drums, but at that point he was just a real jazzy sort of drummer. He obviously had a rock influence as well, but he was very kind of a completely different style, and he was just he was totally different from what he is now. But you could see, when he came in, you could see there was a lot of talent there, and he had and he was very, very had a lot of skill, and so we ended up, this guy will do the job.
Right.
So we're doing a podcast through a thunderstorm, ladies and gentlemen.
Sorry, everyone. We're sitting outside, and it is a little windy, but hey, this is what you come to expect with Hotel Karlifornia. So you're moving through with Hailmary. You've got your lineup, your initial lineup. When was the first gig? Do you recall?
Our first gig with Hailmary was I think it was at the Castle. It was a venue in Perth that.
Like everyone else's first gig?
Yeah, it was a venue that you started off at. They film, you get your gig filmed, and so basically just to get some gigs under our belt, we started off at the Castle, and it now when you look back at that now, you look at the Castle and like good on that venue for giving bands chances to play. It doesn't matter
your experience, doesn't matter any of that shit. You get to play.
Yeah, now when you think back of it, it was pretty cool room.
Pretty cool. You got your show recorded and everything.
Yeah. Now it's a florist.
Now it's a florist. I mean, as if we needed another bloody florist. That's for sure.
They could have made it like a music venue and a florist together. Like combined the two together would have been.
That's money right there, bro. Okay, so how far into Hailmary? You're playing shows, I suppose, over a course of time. When is the time when you realise, okay, guys, it's time to record something?
We didn't record anything or release anything in the first 2-3 years of existence. Maybe two. No, I would say it would be 2. We did a demo. We recorded a kind of supposed to be proper recording, but it didn't end up coming out the way we wanted it to be. It sounded very. It didn't sound like us, to put it that way. So we never ended up releasing that. We just had it as a couple of tracks we sort of had and we would give out, just like a little demo in the beginning. But yeah, we didn't really release anything to a bit further in when we were a bit more developed the sound a bit more. So we took our time.
Right, that makes me feel a bit better about my situation.
Yeah.
So you have a debut EP called Lottery of Life.
Yep.
That earned you an award, a Western Australian Music Award in the heavy rock category. How do you feel about that whole thing?
Actually, the track on the
There's a track on there that won an award.
Yeah, the track it was called Drag In Drag Out, was a track on that EP.
Right, sorry.
The track we sent in for the Wham Song of the Year wasn't the track that ended up being on the EP. It was a shit demo we recorded. Me and Todd, we recorded in his lounge room. It's horrible, but somehow someone's seen something in it on that panel at Wham. At that point, I have no idea how we won. I remember we hadn't even played our first gig when we won that award.
Really?
We were sitting up the back of the room and we were just drinking and just having a good time, not even thinking anything of remotely winning anything, because all the bands on the ballot were established bands who already had gigs under their belt and had a name, and then we would sit at the back of the room, and then it was just like we got called up to win this award, and then it was just like, whoa, people say, oh, I didn't expect to win, but this was really, we didn't expect to win shit. We were nobodies. So we were just sitting at it. It was just like, wow. So basically that's probably what my speech was at the time. It was just like, wow, this is, cheers, thanks for this. Wow. Yeah.
Do you have any opinions on Wham?
Yeah, I've got some strong opinions on Wham. I don't know who was running it back then, but I think, when we won that award, that would have been 10 years ago, so I'm not sure who was running it back then, but I think they had a bit more concise of the genres of music that got, they had a hard rock category. They had so every band had a spot where they could get represented in the Wham Song of the Year. Now I'm finding that there's bands in different genres winning rock. So basically, if you're an indie band, you can win the rock award. But for me, indie sort of is not rock. When you think of rock, you think of rock. Yeah, rock and roll. Rock. It's like.
I looked at I'm not saying anything, but I looked at the people who were in the running this year to win whatever rock band of the year, and I'm like, I don't think that's rock. I think maybe that they're supposed to be in different genres.
Same with the what you call it, the showcase, the Wham
Fest.
Wham Fest they do. It's the same thing. It's like the metal community, the rock and the hard rock community don't get representation by Wham, who's supposed to be the governing body of music in WA. And
that drives me nuts.
It's not right. It isn't right.
Everything is as important as each other.
People's challenged it.
Blues, jazz, folk, indie, Aussie hip hop, metal, fucking new metal. I don't care what it is. Everything deserves its spot and its place, and to be seen as important as each other. Yeah,
well, especially if you're a governing body, you're supposed to be representing WA music. Like, for fuck's sake, you're supposed to represent all genres of music. It's just very clear that for a long time there's a very small, cliquey sort of demographic of music. They always seem to push or put forward to into Perth to tell them, this is the best of Western Australian music, taking nothing away from those bands. They do get nominated. They all deserve it. They're all great. But for fuck me, man, you got to be you've got to be fair to all genres of music, and it should be representative if you're going to be a governing body on the music in WA. That's all I'm going to say.
Right, and you guys couldn't get on a show for Whamfest at all?
Oh, we've played it in the past.
Well, this time around,
no,
you applied and it didn't happen.
No, yeah. Well, I mean, people can say like, "Oh, we did it for a joke, just to see, see," and we got the, "Oh, yeah, no, sorry, we couldn't put you on the bill." Okay, fair enough. All right, okay. So who gets put in the bill? It's just that's what I'm saying. It's all very similar artists. That's
folk, indie, folk, garage.
Yeah,
indie,
yeah.
Folk.
That's if you're going to be that, that's fine. But you can't
be the Western Australian Folk Indie Garage Association.
That's what I'm saying. Like, and people can say, "Oh, you're bitter." What am I bitter about? I'm not bitter about anything. I have won a WAM award. I can say I've won a WAM award.
Yeah, bitch.
But I've done this a long time, and I can see that I don't want to see other bands coming up in WA and you don't get a fucking look in, because it's like as I'm saying, if you're a governing body and on music, it has to be, you have to do all genres. It can't be just the same fucking little pocket of music they think's music. It just doesn't seem right to me. I don't know.
Well said. Okay, let's get back to the Hailmary story. So you've won an award for a shitty demo that he didn't think was going to happen. From what I read on your bio, it says, following the release, you took to the road and toured the east coast of Australia, or was this for a different release?
For that release, no, we didn't. We started going to Melbourne for the first time after it was probably before we released our album Choice Path Consequence Solution. So we went there.
That's the first, yeah.
But then we went there a lot. We went back and forth to Eastern States a shitload.
Really?
Yeah, we really went there a lot. Played a lot of festivals, and Melbourne was really kind to us in the very beginning. I definitely noticed earlier on going to Melbourne that the bands over there who we made friends with were very, very supportive, and they all came down to these shows. Even if they weren't on the bill, they all came down to support a band from WA coming all that way.
Really?
And that's one thing I was like, wow, this was very, I was quite surprised by that back then. I was like, wow, this is really cool. It seemed to have a very tight-knit, you're one of us
camaraderie.
Yeah, it was really, really good. I'm not sure if it's like that anymore, but I remember when we were going, it was very cool, the Melbourne bands over there.
Yeah, cool. So debut album Choice Path Consequence Solution, 2012 it was released. You recorded by flying to Atlanta, GA, USA, to work with Jeff Tomei at Cock of the Walk Studios. He recorded, mixed and co-produced it. You've been to the US and you've recorded a few times, I suppose.
Yeah, second time.
That was the second time.
Yeah.
So you already did that in 2009?
Yep.
Sorry, I think your bio on your Facebook's a bit all over the place, mate. I'm going to put the blame on you there.
See, I put all the good shit like in the top, and all of
Yeah. So what makes you decide that? We could let's just go to the US and record.
The first time we went, basically, I was listening to an album by Jerry Cantrell from Alice in Chains, one of his solo albums. It was called Degradation Trip, and that record I had on full blast at a party one time, and I can't remember who I was with at the time, but I think it was maybe my cousin. We were listening to the album, like, fuck, this record sounds sick. It was like fat riffs, big drums. It was really, really cool. So
did you look at the back of the album to see who?
Yeah, it's like, I wonder who recorded this album. Right. So I looked at the back and I seen a guy, Jeff Tomei. So cool. So I looked him up online, and I found a MySpace at the time. Yeah, I found his MySpace.
Fuck.
So I ended up sending him a message, and I said, "Hey man," with the Hailmary account. I said, "Hey, we just listened to your Degradation Trip album. Really loved the production, loved the sound of it. It's so cool. Hope you're well." Nothing. Didn't ask for anything. Just put that out there. Just gave him a compliment, and then he came back and said, after listening to a couple of our tracks, he said, "Hey guys, you got a cool sound there. If you're ever interested in recording at the studio, hit me up. I'd love to do it. And we were like,
Really?
fucking really? Like, so cool. So we ended up like going back and forth with him a little bit, and then like basically putting the pieces into place. Are we really going to do this? We're going to fly over there and meet some guy we've never met before and do all this. So we ended up doing it, and a lot of people told us, well, you're crazy, wasting my money doing that. But I can tell you right now, that was one of the best experiences of my life doing that, and I don't regret it. And I reckon it was the best decision we made, because we've now got a relationship with Jeff, who mixes a lot of our stuff now, and someone I trust with our music, and that's hard to get, someone who mixes your stuff. So yeah, it was
someone who understands your vision.
Yeah, he definitely nailed our last release. He really done a really good job on that. But yeah, it was a great experience.
Right. I want to go back. I want to go back to where we were before, because I got all muddled up before. I should have looked through the shit I'd written down a bit better. Okay, so back to when you went over east the first time with the band, and you did all these things over there, right? Rock the Bay, Rock and Load, Brutality, Wallapalooza, etc. How difficult is it coordinating an East Coast tour for the first time, figuring out what the fuck to do? Because when I think about it, I just think I don't even know where to begin.
Yeah, it is like that.
Tell all the young'uns out there who've never done it before what the fuck to do.
I know how to do it now, but at the time I would have been terribly fucked it up, to tell you the truth. At the time, I have to give props. We had a manager at the time, a woman called Tanya Sullivan. She, for some reason, saw something in the band and decided to offer us services to manage the band. And she was in Melbourne, so she lived in Melbourne. I knew her from when she lived in Perth. So she took the reins of that kind of side of the band. She sort of started booking us on shows, and she had a few connections over in Melbourne. So she kind of opened the door for us. Well, she did open the door for us over in Melbourne, and booked our first tour over there. From then on, we worked with her a lot, and she booked a lot more shows, especially all those festivals you mentioned. Yeah, she was definitely instrumental in booking us over there. If I have to give any advice to young bands, just try to make friends with someone who's over there. I know it's hard these days to do that, but try
making friends in general.
Yeah, so try to get a band with common sound to try to give you that chance. That's kind of what you want. But basically from us, it was just that couple of shows we'd done initially in Melbourne, that we played with bands that then said, hey, come back over and do our EP launch, come over and do our tour. Yeah. So that opened doors for us to do more shows over there. So basically that's how it's done. Just try to get your way in there,
Network,
I don't know.
Make friends.
Yeah.
And if you're a wanker, just fake it. Pretend that you're a nice person, and you might do well. Do you have any road stories from that first trip over? Well, I guess that those first few trips over there. Any fun times? Any shenanigans?
Yeah, there was plenty of stories, but there's one in particular that was really funny. It was I think we played, maybe it was Rock the Bay. We played that, and then there was down the SB. They had this food eating contest. It was like you could eat pizza. The hottest pizza. So at the time, me, our drummer Vass, and a bass player Nan, we all got a pizza each to eat this pizza. Who can do it? We're like egging each other on. Yeah, well, I can do it, So I just grabbed a piece of cheese off this pizza and ate the piece of cheese, and that piece of cheese was fucking scorching hot.
Right.
Like not hot as in it was
like
burned the shit out of my mouth.
Yeah.
So I knew straight away that this is going to be a pizza of epic portions, burning my insides.
Yeah.
So I can see over in my corner of my eye, I could see the two chefs were stopped cooking. They were coming over, they were looking like little kids, looking at us, waiting for us to eat this pizza. So we all started. I got through 2 slices. I probably could have done more, but I just knew that I couldn't finish the whole lot.
You knew that you were working towards a burning ring of fire.
Yeah, I was like, what's the point of me trying to eat more slices just to start? Yeah, I did 4 slices. I know I'm not going to eat the whole lot. I'm tapping out. I tapped out. bass player, and he tapped that as well. I think he did maybe a slice more than me. And Bass, the crazy Russian, he finished this whole pizza.
Really?
Yeah, he done the whole lot. And the next day, because the pizza was so hot, his eye, he like a burst of embolism in his eye. It was like blood red.
Shit.
So it was like him trying to go out, and at the time he was single, trying to pick up chicks with this fucking big black like red eye. It wasn't happening. So
Well, I'm sure that's not the only red eye he would have had.
yeah, he had pink eye.
I was talking more about his bumhole, but
All right.
right, back to this whole US thing. You obviously Jeff Tomei, we just mentioned. I want to ask you what you reckon you learned most from this bloke.
He was instrumental in my songwriting to this day. He was very instrumental in telling me about songwriting. Hey, he said, don't write for the radio, but keep that in mind when you're writing your songs. And what he meant by that was, like, he with the song, he basically, before we worked with him, we sent him a couple of demos. And so he would make suggestions on like cutting this bit out, doing this, making this here and there. So when you're hearing that for the first time with Steel Babies, it's your songs, and then you got to change them. Like that was very hard for me to sort of, I don't want to change my songs.
Yeah.
But I said, okay, let's keep, let's give it a try.
Yeah.
And as soon as I tried what he suggested to me, it was like the penny dropped. I'm like, yeah, why does that riff need to go for fucking 10, 12 bars? It's get the point across. The riff comes in, boom, then the verse comes in, boom, the hook, whatever, bang, 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 and get out of there. Like what he said was just you need to trim the fat of the song. It's like a big piece of steak. Get rid of the fatty bits and just give that the just that juicy piece of steak. And that's basically what it was. So now when I write songs now, it's kind of like it has to be hooks. It has to be hooks. It has to be to the point. Get it to the point. Not this. It doesn't need. Just don't waste any time. You've got this little small window where people want to listen to a song. They don't want to listen to it going for like 2 minutes. It just have noise. People's attention spans are so short. So get to the point. That's basically what he sort of ingrained in me.
Good call. Jeff Tomei, is he related to Marissa?
I would say not.
Damn. She's so hot, dude.
You have to show me.
You don't know who Marissa Tomei is?
I don't think so.
You would know.
Would I?
Yes, you would know. Everyone out there right now is going, oh, Kevin.
Fuck, I don't know any.
She's hot, dude.
All right.
She's an actress. She's really hot.
Show me off air.
All right. There's a story from you being in the US, an incident with a gun.
Yeah.
Tell the listeners out there, the faithful listeners of Hotel Karlifornia, what happened with the incident with a gun.
Well, basically, your whole life, well, not your whole life, but you kind of, in your head, you think about America and you think about guns and all the gun problems they've had. So the first day we got to Atlanta, Georgia, we basically got to the hotel, which looked like, if you can imagine, like My Name Is Earl, when he lived in that sort of.
Right,
that's basically what we were dealing with. So we just got there, relaxed, got a couple of beers, and then sort of sat at the front and we were just drinking a couple of beers and just soaking in the weather because it was really hot at the time. It was really cool. And this guy came over and he, hey guys, how you doing? And so like, what's going on? And he sort of was talking about his problems. His wife was pregnant, and then he was having was just escaping. He was having a lot of problems with the arguing, so he was getting away from that. So we just offered him a beer. So do you want to join us for a beer? The guy seemed like he had problems. We wanted to help the guy out, so he sat down with us, and then he sort of put his shirt up, like, I don't know, I'm trying to explain it, but you can't see it. But he had his shirt up like with his hands up in the air, and then sort of we seen that he had a gun, or he called it a Glock, sort of coming like out of his jeans, or sort of, he was just sitting there, and then. I think a bass player at the time, Tim, sort of looked down and seen it, and I think by his face you could tell he was kind of he goes, oh man, he goes, you're looking at my Glock, and this guy just pulled it out, and he was kind of like waving it around, like, "Oh, do you want to have a look at it?" And at that point, I was just like, "I don't want to be around this," because it's so foreign for us to like be around like guns. So I ended up just like, yeah, I'm just going to go in my room and sort of chill out there for a bit, because you just don't know what this guy's mental state is with, he's having problems and all that kind of stuff. So I'm sure he was harmless enough, but it was very,
but seeing
for
a
a
gun,
first day of being there and then having this guy's waving a gun, he was like, I'm not cool with this.
Yeah. So to them over there it's probably normal, but to us, seeing a gun is like, you back up.
Where we were in Georgia, it was a place called Kennesaw. That's where we were staying. The law over there is every homeowner must own a gun, and if they don't own a gun, you get fined.
Right.
But at the same time, their crime rate is one of the lowest in America. So it's kind of like it's so weird for us to think, like, because we don't have any guns in Australia. So it was just it's a weird concept to get your head around. And I remember going to the you go down to the Walmart, and all the cars in the car park would have these stickers on the car, like guns and my Second Amendment. And they were very into that stuff.
Gosh, you're so obsessed.
It is so it was very. It was very like for coming from a place where it doesn't have that. It was very like, wow, this is
it's weird, isn't it?
Yeah, but same time I didn't see any trouble over there either. So it's kind of like it's just a very hard thing to sort of get your head around and what
Right. So in the timeline of where we are, I want to just say we're at about 2012, 2013-ish.
Yeah.
I want you to talk to us all about the Perth rock scene around that time, or when you think the rock scene in Perth was kind of like at its biggest point and at its healthiest point with all the other rock bands in WA.
Probably between 2008 and 2010, 11.
Right.
I mean, we did our first EP at the Amplifier Bar, and I remember like thinking to myself, like, I was inviting everyone to come, doing your first EP launch. You want it to be successful. You want it to do really well. And at that point, like...
It seems so foreign to me, the thought of trying to invite people to your show. How do you coordinate? Because, like, I'm so, like, just brainwashed by the Facebook thing. Like, how do you get in contact with everyone that you know back then? Is it MySpace? Is it email? Is it MSN Messenger?
I think with 2008 when we did our first EP launch, it was kind of like, it was I sent text messages out to everyone.
Really?
Yeah, I texted everyone. It was made an event on the MySpace. It sounds so freaking old and foreign now.
I can't remember if you could.
I think you could. Yeah, you could put a little thing up. So
the status updates, you did bulletins or some shit.
You know what? I don't think there was MySpace. I don't think there was I don't think there was Facebook at that point. I don't think there was.
I can't remember it being.
So I'm telling people at my work, I'm like, people, when I work,
they're remembering and they're
I'm like, come down. It's going to be a good time. They're not even into rock music. Just come. And that night, like, everyone came to the show and it ended up being a sellout. It was like, I think 500 we had 500 plus payers, and it was packed. It was full. And I know in my mind, I was like, if we can just get 150, 200 people at that point for our first EP launch, I'll be happy.
Right.
And it totally blew my mind. I was like, what the fuck happened here? Like, so at that point, there was people coming to shows and really enjoying, and all the bands we had in the bill bring people to shows. People wanted to go see rock music. There was plenty of bands. There was piles of them. If you wanted to listen to, remember at the time, if you want to listen to like more of that 80s style, like, like rock music, you had bands like that. You had grunge bands, you had like hard rock bands, you had like, there was a lot of genres of different styles of rock music that were in Perth. And now I don't see as many.
Right.
So there was lots. There was a lot more, and there was a lot more people going to shows then.
Right. So that's probably when it was its healthiest.
I think so.
Anytime, anywhere, any place you go to a gig, the place is pretty solidly.
Yeah. I think as well as a band up and coming at that point, you had a lot more places to play at.
Yeah.
It was a lot. I remember we played Wednesday night at this place. I can't remember. Stadium Sports Bar, I think it was called.
Oh, it's the Stadium.
You could play there on a Wednesday. You could. You could play there on a Wednesday. Thursday, you could play a gig on Thursday. You could play on Friday. You could play on Saturday. You could play on Sunday. Now, pretty much weekend. That's it.
Yeah, my guitarist Nathan used to tell me about his old band that he was in, and they just play like almost every day of the week. And to me, I'm just like, what? Like, Where? Why? What's
Yeah,
the point
yeah.
after, like, there's people there, though. Really? Yeah. What the fuck? It's crazy.
Especially if you're a band just cutting your teeth trying to get... Because what you need is experience and to play...
Yeah.
Like, if you could play a couple of gigs a week, you're going to get tight pretty quickly,
Yeah.
like, being able to play that often, whereas, you know, like, a band eventually becomes like you can't play once a month. You can play once
Right.
every 2 months, and if you're sticking in Perth, that is, if you're not touring.
Interesting.
So, but yeah, back then you could play a lot.
Wow. All right, okay. Well, we've hit 45 minutes just now. I think maybe we will end this as part one, and we'll reconvene after a break. But I want to end this section on playing a Hailmary song. So, is there any song from the early days, from one of your first EPs or albums that you'd like to play out this section?
We'll go the Yellow Light of Death.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
That seems to be a winner.
Okay, well, we'll play that one for you all right now. So that's Hailmary with what?
Yellow Light of Death.
Yellow Light of Death.
It's a love ballad.
It's a love ballad. Okay. So thanks again, Kevin, and we'll reconvene for part two very shortly. Thank you for listening to Hotel Karlifornia. See you soon.